Now I request Mr. Ranjith Annepo to deliver his speech.
With that NGO, we are working with the Clinton Global Initiative, and our aim is to map all the waste infrastructure around the world. This includes landfills, open dumps, and waste-to-energy facilities, recycling plants, and all the waste infrastructure. In addition to these two, I'm also working as a consultant with a solid waste consulting company called GBB. And today I'm here to speak a little bit about, on behalf of researchers on what we can do to make it easier for the decision makers in taking their decisions. I mean, if we look at the situation of waste management in let's say the developed countries where, as we saw in the morning, where solid waste management seems to have really gotten to a good point, there such development was driven by robust research and agile policy. So researchers played a very important role in developing those systems. And when we see the status in India, we have a huge ideological debate about what's happening and what should happen. And there doesn't seem to be a prioritization of issues. For example, in Japan, the priority there is they don't have much land to live on, so they don't want to use any land to put their wastes. So the priority for them is to reduce the volume of the waste, and therefore the technology that they use is waste-to-energy incineration. But when we look at US, they have lots of land for landfilling, and their priority is mostly economics, and therefore they still go ahead with landfilling. Whereas when we come to countries like India and China, which are still developing right now, which are in the transitional countries, here, when we speak about, first of all, when we speak about India and China, the scale and the impacts of waste management are above the charts. I mean, we have not seen what's happening in India until now. The pace of urbanization that's happening in India is unprecedented. It has never happened in the history of the planet. So what we have now is a unique challenge. And we can see that every day. I mean, for example, a landfill which is opened in 2008 becomes full within 2 years, and then we don't have any more land. We should look for new land. So we have a very unique challenge. And the priority of municipal corporations, like right now, the short-term priority seems to be the safe disposal of waste. And the safe disposal of waste would mean collecting all the waste that is generated and taking it out of the city, or treating it within the city in such a way that it becomes innocuous or unharmful. And this is the short-term priority. We have other long-term priorities, which might be environmental protection. But while we are developing here, we should make sure that we are not leaving a part of Indian citizens behind and just developing solutions for one sector. So even inclusivity in waste management is important. What can researchers do in this context? Currently, like I said, we have ideological debates. There's, 30 years ago, there was not much information on what decisions to take. So the decisions were not taken quickly because there was not much information to base the decisions on. Right now, we have information overload. We have lots of information, and the decision makers are bombarded with information every day. And here, the work of researchers becomes even more important in actually separating the sound from the noise. There is a huge background noise right now, and it's important for researchers to separate that and document that for decision makers. And currently, GIZ, representatives of GIZ have made a very good point yesterday and today that there is no single technological or methodological solution for solid waste management. Whatever we're going to do for India, it's going to be integrated solid waste management. But when we look at integrated solid waste management, it never excludes any one single technology. It says that we should use a combination of technologies which, depending upon the local conditions. And So researchers can actually help in evaluating what these combinations could be for each technology, for each city or for each locality. So that's one area where researchers are required. And then we also see that currently we have a very good understanding of what different technologies are. There have been numerous papers on what different technologies do, what their pros and cons are, but when it comes to implementing, adapting these technologies to the Indian situation, there does seem to be a lack of research there. I mean, we're not researching what should be done, the implementational side on what's happening. For example, we heard a lot about the documentation of best practices, so that's clearly not happening right now. So that's somewhere researchers are very important. And then we also have a need for researchers in project evaluation. For example, there is lots of good work that's happening in India right now. And like Dieter Mudz yesterday mentioned, in 1980s and 90s, when he was in Nepal, whenever he wanted to learn about recycling or composting, they always mentioned, oh, go to India and then you'll learn everything about it. But there is that knowledge, but then there doesn't seem to be enough documentation and dissemination of that knowledge. So most of the research that's done here probably goes into papers. And earlier, maybe 10 years ago, when it goes into a paper, all the research community used to, like, go to a specific publication and then get it from there. But now the time is different. We are in a totally different age. However, the research is still published in papers. And there's not much use of the latest technology, which is blogs and Facebook and all other kinds of social media. So when the decision makers are not coming to the research, probably researchers should go to the decision makers with the information and say that, oh, this is what's happening and this is what you should do. And another last point, two more points, but another point that I would want to emphasize on is the quality of human resources in today's industry. It seems to be really low. I heard various arguments yesterday about how the quality of consultants and researchers is really low. So when someone has to put a tender forward, the tendering process is bad. And this all relates back to how the researchers are trained during their education and the need for more researchers in this sector. So there we don't seem to have much funding for research in solid waste management right now, so that's an issue that we can discuss in the panel. And there is also some research requirement for pollution reduction technologies in various different technologies. So or we say composting is the best solution. There is no best solution for a whole country. There could be a best solution for a specific situation. So that's something we have to understand, and it's a responsibility on the research community to get together, probably under the auspices of WTRT India, get together, get best practices together and provide it to the decision makers so that it makes it easy for them. And it makes it easy for the industry, and it makes it easy for the public. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ranjith Annepo, for timely completion of your deliberation. Now,